Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 13 of NETLORE, your favorite podcast, which is definitely not dead. We're back. NETLORE bros, we're still back.
You know, we missed a week, but we're back.
We didn't want you guys getting too comfy. We got to keep you on your toes a little bit. As long as we don't take another 10-month freaking break, it's still fine. It doesn't count as a hiatus.
If there's one thing we've been consistent about, it's our inconsistency, okay? So, really, we've been consistent.
We're trying to keep it from getting too parasocially attached. Don't worry.
So this episode, I kind of wanted to look at the beginning of how AI took over all of our social medias and kind of the entire internet, because it did have a start. You know, it's easy to look at now and kind of worry about AIR and all the future consequences of everything. But there was a time when it was this novel little thing that people didn't really care about because it was only being used in memes and stuff.
There was a huge pushback against AI voices, obviously, and understandably so. But there was a period of time where you could use them and really nobody gave a shit. Do you remember those 3x3 pictures of garbage AI images and everyone was just laughing at them? Nobody was like, this is an existential threat. People were like, oh, this is just funny. It's just a stupid thing. It's only when it got kind of good that people started getting worried.
It all kind of started with one specific community on the internet. And I mean, you've already seen the title, you know, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. It really needs no introduction, but you know, maybe we should. I don't know. I always wonder how much context we actually need to give, but
I mean, even if you weren't there for this whole ordeal, I mean, you should be aware of bronies, right? If you're on the freaking internet, right?
Yeah, it's like, you know, if we talked about Transformers, do we have to explain, like, Transformers is a show about this robot and they transform? It's like, I don't know. I feel like you kind of know.
Here's my connection with My Little Pony. I never watched the show, but my grandma, this was before the fourth generation show. My grandma used to be one of the biggest My Little Pony collectors in the United States. So I remember I would go into her basement and she would have just like this massive wall of My Little Pony toys. And I was like, the hell is this crap? It's for little girls. This isn't cool. Now in retrospect, I'm like, damn, I should have asked for all of those My Little Ponies. And then, I don't know, I was gonna say I could sell them to the bronies, but the bronies only care about the show. They don't care about all that old My Little Pony crap.
Yeah, they don't care about the older generations, I don't think. But since its debut in 2010, the fourth generation of MLP has been immensely popular, spawning the well-known online brony phenomena, which are basically adult fans of My Little Pony. Well, after 9 seasons and an almost decade-long run, in February of 2019, it was announced the show was finally coming to an end. This was horrible news for the fandom, who grew very attached to the characters, and because of that, they were afraid that they would never see the main 6 ever again. But then, a glimmer of hope appeared in April of 2019. That month, a video parodying steamed hams from The Simpsons went viral. Now, this meme was already pretty popular at the time with tens of thousands of iterations, but what made this one stand out was its use of AI technology to mimic the voices of former presidents Donald Trump and Barack Obama.
Superintendent, I hope you're ready for mouth-watering hamburgers.
I thought we were having steamed clams.
No, I said steamed hams. That's what I call hamburgers.
You call hamburgers steamed hams?
Yes, it's a regional dialect.
Oh, what region?
Upstate New York.
Really?
That was 5 years ago. I mean, that's pretty good AI voices for 5 years ago, if you remember what they sounded like.
While rudimentary, it was impressive enough to garner 500,000 views. The description explained it was synthesized using AI models trained on their speech patterns. This resulted in a thread being made on 4chan's My Little Pony board. The voices in this video were generated by an AI model trained using audio samples. We have 8, soon to be 9 seasons worth of audio material from My Little Pony, all of which are in surround sound with an isolated voice channel. I propose to you that we use this technology to create accurate text-to-speech voices for the main 6, or any pony with enough audio material to work with. You don't have to think long to imagine the possibilities, although knowing you guys, it will be for waifus. Is there anyone else here who wants to make this happen? This concept would end up becoming the Pony Preservation Project, a community effort to collect as many usable voice samples as possible so they could keep the characters alive using AI. Now, actually achieving this task seems kind of impossible. The sheer amount of labor to get it off the ground is insane. Thankfully, a few dedicated Anons came together to organize official guidelines and a submission process. There were 4 phases to this plan. The first was figuring out which technology to use. There were already several open source projects available for this technology, so they just had to really pick which one was the best. The second was creating as complete of a data set as possible. Then they had to actually learn how to train on the data. Finally, Eventually, they hoped to simplify the process enough that anyone could use it. With that in mind, they got to work going through each episode and labeling every individual sentence in Audacity. If that sounds like a long and very tedious process, it is.
If anyone could do that, it's Brony. He's just going through every episode. Hey, it's another excuse to watch the show again.
Eventually, this document was created to keep track of their progress, and I really can't do it justice by going into every single detail because I don't fully understand it, but they had linguistic specialists going through and notating every emotional marker to flesh out their vocal profiles. And you can see here just how crazy this vocal profiling was. You can see they have the general overview of Twilight Sparkle, the accent, the emotional markers for each emotion. So these are things I guess that would distinguish to the AI, like how to make it the most accurate for their expressions, and even the vocal evolution and these amateur voice actor mistakes. These are it's very complicated stuff.
It is actually kind of crazy when you think about how complicated the actual act of replicating someone's voice is. I mean, I guess we're all a little numb to it now because we're all just been exposed to so much AI slop, but it actually is kind of an amazing feat to recreate someone's voice, because I mean, obviously there's shitty ones, but these aren't shitty ones. These ones were made lovingly with care. They're pretty surprisingly well done. And again, this was before AI voice crap went mainstream, really. It's a whole 23-page thesis on how to do this. It's crazy.
This is a whole fucking guide that they wrote. Page 17 outlines the open source machine learning projects they had available. Their most promising at the time was Tacotron, an end-to-end speech synthesis system by Google, and there was a lot of hope with the entire board basically just sitting back and watching this unfold. And here's some art people drew to commemorate this. You can see the pony machine learning.
This was a big event in the Brony community, guys.
As you can kind of tell already, a lot of the focus was really on making sure Twilight Sparkle specifically would be done correctly. So, the other ponies, they got pushed aside. Twilight Sparkle was really the focus of this whole thing. And obviously, they have linguistic specialists, they have people going together and culling together all the audio. They had a very diverse skill set and were quickly able to automate several steps of the process. And by April 14th, 5 days in, they already had their first rudimentary models.
I don't know what will happen. You look great. Please allow me to introduce myself.
That is funny that it's there's that recognizable tinny robot sound, but underneath it, you can tell it's the voice, which is kind of crazy.
By July, they were able to get her to speak full original sentences.
People give me ears. I love you all.
Okay. Not fully.
Pinkie Pie, stop acting returned.
I don't know if you can make out what that one was.
The march of progress is slow, but steady.
While all of this seemed fairly promising, it's hard to know for sure how much further they would have progressed from this point, because that fall, they received a huge helping hand. On November 17th, 2019, a user later known as 15 made his first post on the thread. First post, my results after 12 hours of training a personally modified version of the software. So this immediately raised the bar, with his Twilight Sparkle being better than any of the other examples they'd heard before. And not only that, he did it again with Rainbow Dash and Rarity. It's already kind of insane that they were making this much progress, but this random guy comes along and makes his first post, and he is already way further ahead. It's very mysterious where this guy came from. The user alluded to it being part of a bigger project he was working on, though what this meant at the time was unclear. The results, however, were impressive enough to go viral on Twitter. So here is Twilight Sparkle reading the Navy SEALs copy pasta.
What the fuck did you just fucking say about me, you little bitch? I'll have you know I graduated top of my class in the Navy SEALs, and I have been involved in numerous secret raids on Al-Qaeda, and have over 300 confirmed kills. I am trained in guerrilla warfare and I'm the top sniper in the entire US Armed Forces. You are nothing to me but just another target.
So we don't have to listen to the whole thing, but...
No, we have to listen to the whole thing.
But you could already tell, that's a huge step up,
Yeah, compared to the robot voices, no, it's really impressive. Again, I know I keep harping on about this because people are probably just so numb to it by now, but it is really quite a feat.
So this is where things get weird. Many pointed out 15 was able to do things that would have taken 5 years of innovation to accomplish. He also refused to make his code open source. This led to conspiracies he was involved with some kind of government agency.
The feds are in our pony threads.
Conspiracy theory. 15 is working for a governmental agency / big corporation, and their purposes are to research the viability of AI with their classified model in semi-public view, but without revealing their true intentions or identity. Doing so in an anonymous image board while blending in as just another fan with lots of time is ideal. It's clear, regardless, he was involved with AI development on some level, to the point they feared publicizing his efforts. So here's another post. Perhaps we should withhold 15's creation from the OP to give the illusion that AI is not as good or far along as the outsiders think.
They're gatekeeping our pony voices.
Whatever the case may be, that all changed once he showed them the first iteration of the 15 AI website on February 26, 2020. Firstly, I just want to point out how insane it is to have the domain 15.ai. I don't know how much that costs, but that's just a 4-character domain. That seems like it would cost a lot of money.
AI must have been a semi-new top-level domain or something, because that is kind of crazy.
But the website was also very professionally put together. While text-to-speech wasn't available yet, it did reveal something very strange. His site was directly tied to MIT, thanking them for providing the initial funding for the project in 2017. Now, to go a bit into conspiracy mode, the page also thanked MIT's Lincoln Lab. MIT is pretty well known for its contributions to the advancement of technology, but what some may not realize is how vital federal agencies were to that tradition. This began all the way back in 1951 with the establishment of that very same Lincoln Lab. MIT received funding from the US Air Force and Department of Defense to improve the nation's air defense system. The lab has since been involved in numerous defense and security-related research projects. I don't really have anywhere else to go with that, but just something interesting to keep in mind. Voice generation was finally made available in March of 2020, with 15AI being promoted to the broader internet. It spread like wildfire, quickly gaining notoriety across social media. The site didn't just have My Little Pony characters, but characters from a variety of different franchises. So yeah, you remember when this came out, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was all over Twitter. There were so many different characters. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can blow the lid off it with the My Little Pony stuff, but the technology can be used for any character or any person.
Did you ever use it?
Yeah, I fucked around with it. It was fun. I mean, like I said, I know people, I guess you're not supposed to say you ever had fun or liked AI voices. I wasn't trying to put voice actors out of work or anything, but just like, I don't know, making Homer Simpson say something naughty. I mean, it's funny. What do you want me to say? It was just like the novelty. I mean, it was a novel thing, and it was, things like on Twitter would go viral, like the Navy SEAL copy pasta, among others.
It really did, just normalized it beyond a novelty. It was so weird. The first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that's fucking crazy. But then, now, we think, oh, yeah, that's fucking AI.
It is funny also because some of the characters on that site were like, this character is like 50% done, and they sounded all tinny and robot-y. And then you go to the My Little Pony section, and they sounded like pitch perfect.
15AI is even credited on Wikipedia as the impetus behind the popularization of AI voice cloning.
Right, which is a whole cottage industry. I mean, there's so many YouTube videos out there now that are like, or do you remember how many times you would saw like Donald Trump and Barack Obama, talk about Mass Effect or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, how many different videos out there of just that kind of content?
Of course, it wasn't long until people raised the very same ethical and legal concerns we're still discussing today. Now, the site defended itself as being legal, citing Authors Guild Inc. versus Google Inc. This was a landmark case that ruled Google Books, a service that searches the full text of copyrighted books, was transformative and protected under fair use. This set the precedent that using copyrighted material to train a non-commercial generative model was legal.
Right. I mean, that is kind of interesting to think about. Like, obviously, I don't need to get into all of the weeds here. Obviously, there's plenty of, ethical dilemmas when it comes to, spoofing someone's voice and just putting it on the internet and letting anyone do it. There was that Jordan Peterson one that was going super viral, remember? And that website had to get taken down because people were using it. They were being too funny with it. But, theoretically, imagine you're so hyper, you're this guy, 15, you just want to hear the My Little Pony voices so much, you do this in your free time, and you don't put it online. Would that still be super unethical if you're literally just doing it for yourself or whatever, in your own home?
Apparently not.
The whole I'm not making money off it, it's non-commercial. That fig leaf can only go so far, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the interesting thing is, for some reason, with commercial usages, it's not legal by the precedent, but non-commercial is. So it's very strange. I'm not entirely sure why, but interestingly, 15 claimed to be running the site out of pocket. He alluded to it costing upwards of $150,000 a year.
That's kind of crazy, especially because like it takes a lot of computing power to crunch the numbers to make these voices. So like, and the fact that the site was it was up and free for anyone to use. It's like I didn't really understand how that worked on the back end either.
You know, I really don't get it. But there is a post he made before the site's launch explaining why he wouldn't accept any money. I'm not going to charge anyone for anything. That's morally bankrupt, and not only does it go against everything I believe in, but it's also disrespectful to the work that others have put into this project. Training the models to get where they are right now has already cost me an enormous amount of effort, but I'll be damned if I do anything of the sort. So he basically says he's not going to, ask for any money, so that keeps it non-commercial.
Right. But still, paying $150,000 a year for what? Like charity? I mean, it's kind of weird, yeah.
How he's funding and able to afford this website is going to be a continuous question, but there is strangely an answer, although it's not a very clear answer.
Right.
15 continued working, but started getting into public spats on Twitter. So this is a angry tweet that I just thought would be funny to read out. There's no point in releasing a poorly done model, and to do so for the sake of popularity would be despicable. My goal is to achieve indistinguishability, which I certainly know is possible. Anything short of near perfection is unacceptable.
Right. See, I remember this because the site was down most of the time, and people were constantly being like, just release the fucking source code, just put up the fucking site. And he's like, no, it has to be perfect!
It also appears that he hosted a TF2 server for /MLP, which also became a point of conflict. Like, people kept accusing him of admin abuse.
Hell yeah, of course, of course.
Their general opinion of him soured, especially once he launched a Patreon.
Here we go.
So this is where it starts getting kind of questionable about how commercial this is.
There's so many weird loopholes on Patreon where it's like, one thing I always go to is Alvin Earthworm or whatever, and the Super Mario Bros. Z, where he's like, I have a personal Patreon for my own personal projects. I'm not taking money to make Super Mario Bros. Z. That's just my own separate side thing that if you happen to want to give me money, it's like, there's like weird, I don't even want to call it a loophole or what, but...
This is definitely not a loophole, because look, it says right here, it's explicitly for 15 AI.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's seriously, he's literally advertising it, yeah, so this is, again, it's a little odd, a little bit of a backtrack, I don't know, it's kind of odd.
That August, a terms of service was added, which states the code and models are privately owned and are not to be sold or distributed for unauthorized use. So that's another thing, a weird thing. They added terms of service that says, okay, so all our code and models are privately owned, even though, I guess because the data set was not his, but the models were, so he never released them. The site only grew more popular over the next 2 years, with it continuing well into 2022 when its terms of service changed again, this time to demand attribution.
Yeah, I remember this because it was if you ever made something, it's like you could use this in a video or whatever, just say that you got it from 15.ai. And I was like, that's a kind of a fair ask considering they provided the fake voices.
This project is intended for non-commercial use. There are 2 requirements for using 15.ai for personal projects. You must properly credit 15AI, including the URL 15AI somewhere in your post/video/project. You must not use 15AI voices with other text-to-speech voices within your project. This is to prevent any confusion between 15AI and other TTS projects.
That's really funny. He's like, my precious perfect voices, don't mix them with your disgusting plebeian text-to-speech voices.
All code and models used for this site were written and trained as part of my research at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Interesting, I think it was around this time, yeah. By this point, by 2022, he was a former MIT student, which again will become relevant later. But this specific TOS change was in response to an NFT project called the Voiceverse, using their work as part of its platform, which you can see here they acknowledge, and he says, go fuck yourself.
Hell yeah.
And now, okay, so I mentioned before that the constant mystery of like, where did this guy come from? How is he paying for this? These do have an answer, and they come in the form of some posts he made on Hacker News in June of 2022. Let me just read these out. They're a bit long, but they are interesting. So, I have not been with MIT in years. I was paid the minimum hourly rate, roughly $14 an hour, to work on a related project during my undergrad years, which eventually evolved into this project years down the road. In fact, I had to pay for my own computer to get my work started. MIT never offered me any credits. Everything else has been paid out of pocket since then. Yes, it does indeed cost several thousands of dollars a month. That is not an exaggeration. This has been optimized so many times that the technology needs to improve first before I can cut down on costs. I'm sorry to tell you that I do, in fact, own my model. I have not been with MIT in years. So a lot of people at MIT were kind of questioning, well, do you really own your model? And we'll kind of get into that in a bit, but but there is kind of a questionability of like, well, he credits other people's work on the project in an earlier post, right? Like,
well, yeah, if this spun off of some other thing he was working on at MIT, I could see that being like, even if the specific model he used to train on the ponies and whatnot was his work, I don't know, that is kind of curious.
So this next post is about how he's able to afford the website. I had a successful exit not too long after graduation, and I've been spending most of my earnings on this project. So I guess he was involved with some kind of startup. So he continues, as an undergrad, I was completely broke. I figured that keeping the project free to use was the best thing I could possibly do with my research as I continued to work on it. So 15's claim is that he owns the entire rights to his model, even though seemingly this would contradict MIT's IPIA contract. So this is their Inventions and Proprietary Information Agreement contract. And again, this is something that people pointed out on Hacker News. I'm not particularly familiar with this myself, but these are some choice things that are explained on their website. MIT owns inventions made or created by MIT faculty, students, staff, and others participating in sponsored research projects or in MIT programs using significant MIT funds or facilities or those inventions developed pursuant to a written agreement with MIT. With limited exceptions, every employee, faculty, graduate student, postdoctoral associate, fellow, visitor research affiliate, and staff affiliate must sign the IPIA. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. I have no idea what the truth is, but it's kind of relevant context because a few months later, the entire site shut down for good. On September 8th, 2022, 15AI went down, supposedly in preparation for a future update, but it never went back up, with 15 remaining active on Twitter for the next year until February of 2023. So this is his last post on Twitter. Quick update and obligatory apologies for the delays. If all goes well, the next update should be the culmination of a year and a half of nonstop work put into a huge number of fixes and major improvements to the algorithm. Just give me a bit more time, it should be worth it. I probably won't open Twitter again until I finally get this up and running.
Damn, that's the last post. They got his ass. They threw him in a van. MIT, CIA, they're like, you're coming with us. You're going to be working in the CIA mines, making deep fakes of foreign leaders for us.
And just like that, 15 disappeared, never to be seen again. It's unclear what happened to him, if he intended to leave or simply got tired and moved on, but I mean, I feel like that's kind of unlikely given how dedicated he was.
He was so proud of that project. It was such a big deal. The idea that he would just be like, I'm bored, I'm just gonna abandon this is like, that's unthinkable, honestly. So clearly something happened. Maybe got hit by a bus. I don't know. It probably wouldn't be that hard to dox this guy. Not that I'm saying we should, I'm just saying like to really figure out who this guy was.
I don't think there's any way to dox this guy, honestly, because if you're this tech savvy, you definitely know what you're doing with privacy, you know? But it's also not clear if MIT's involvement had any influence on that decision. Now, according to the About page, the perceived emotion of the text was deduced using Deepmoji, another MIT project. The beta version of the site also clearly shows MIT on the homepage. So once again, I don't really understand how this is not an MIT project.
Yeah, to be flagging your associations this strongly, I mean, he wasn't trying to hide it or anything, then to also just be like, but now I own it.
But another possible theory is fear of legal action. Following 15AI's success, several different sites appeared like Vo.codes and UberDuck. The latter maintains a public spreadsheet of blacklisted voices with takedown requests from several MLP voice actors, including Tara Strong. So Tara Strong has actually publicly commented on AI voices. I'm honestly not sure how to combat all the AI companies stealing our voices, but this should be a concern for all people, not just actors.
See, early 2023, this is when the real blowback, the pushback against the AI voice stuff. Because like I said, for a while, people early were just like, oh, this is just sort of harmless fun or whatever. It was only and I have nothing but empathy, and I agree with the voice actors here being like, if it's your livelihood to use your voice, and people are like, I'm just gonna clone your voice, we don't need you anymore.
Wait, this was like the same week that he disappeared.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is like the same time frame.
Holy shit. Maybe that's...
Yeah, that's what I mean. The blowback, just like, I'm not even talking about the legal consequence. I'm just mean the public perception of AI voices shifted severely quickly. There's this great web series, Love Web, that used pony voices for a long time. And it was only once this stuff happening, it was like, oh, I guess we got to replace it with actual voice actors. And they did. And it's still good. But it was just like, yeah, that was just an example of I remember that period of time being like, AI voices were suddenly
not cool.
Yeah, it literally stopped being cool.
People get mad at any kind of usage. Now, there was this Scooby-Doo animation that people got really mad at for using AI voices.
They're right to be wary and be skeptical and not like AI. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but it is just interesting the way the public perception didn't change on a dime exactly, but like it was quick, the shift from like, haha, this is fun to, okay, this is actually really, really bad.
And again, this is just speculation, but remember, the precedent set by Authors Guild versus Google is only protecting non-commercial use. By this point, 15AI had a Patreon, so he was profiting from it in some way, right?
If you look at the amount spent versus web hosting, if it was costing as much as apparently he said, I'm not a business expert, so maybe it still counts as profit, even if your net expenses are higher. But either way, you can't just make money illegally and be like, well, I spent more money doing it, so it doesn't count. You know what I mean? So I get that angle. I'm not excusing it or anything, but it's just like, it's really interesting that, again, this was like, more than just a passion project. I mean, this was basically working off of his work as an MIT student to just disappear like that.
It's very strange, especially like, because maybe he got a DMCA and maybe he didn't want to give out his personal info, so he just disappeared.
Yeah, right. That's true. That could be it. This guy's probably aware that he's like the nexus point, like all this AI voice shit.
He's in the history books.
It all started with the damn ponies.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I don't really know what to make of all this. That's all we have to go off of. There is no conclusive answer to this one. It really comes down to what you personally think makes the most sense.
Yeah, like, because it could have easily gone a different way. Like, it could have just been those guys making their weird little robot tinny sounding Twilight Sparkle voices. They didn't have to have some MIT super genius swoop in and like train in these perfect voices. And again, it was so funny that instantly people are like, we did it. We finally perfectly recreated the pony voices. Now I can hear Twilight Sparkle tell me she loves me. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do with these voices? Okay, what is the point of all this? I don't know. It's like, in a vacuum, is it that big a deal to have pony voices at your beck and call? Like,
I feel like AI has a lot of utility to it.
It's just a tool. You can use it good, you can use it bad.
And I don't know. I'm sympathetic, of course, to people. Like, it's really fucked up that you can basically just take someone's fucking likeness. They were trying to make whole episodes, I guess. That's what their plan was. But with this whole pony preservation thing, it's very strange.
Imagine being some little kid, you're just on YouTube pirating My Little Pony episodes. What's this? A new episode? And it's full of like racist 4chan memes in like the perfect pony voices. And, like, what's going on? It's corrupting my pure little innocent mind.
Creepypastas are gonna, like, they're all real now, basically. Like, you can make any fucked up episode now.
It's so funny and so not surprising that it all comes back to fucking My Little Pony, the quarantine board on 4chan.
I feel like my view on AI is definitely just different because, you know, viewing it as like just an artist and not a voice artist, like it's easy for me to view it as like, okay, there's all these different ways you can incorporate like AI into your process and use it in a constructive manner, but I don't know if that exists for like a voice actor, like, except in very like specific like edge cases where it's like you're using like a voice filter to make yourself sound like a younger version of yourself or something, but I don't know.
I mean, we already have lots of voice filtering, lots of weird tricks like that, so it's like, I don't know, this is kind of like, we both have enough voice samples out there where if someone wants to spoof our voices, they can and have.
Yeah, someone has done, I remember a friend sent me like this AI voice of like me just talking in Chinese, and I was just like, geez.
It's crazy, like people out there are like, I have to protect my face from going online. Now, guys, I have to protect my voice from going online. I don't want people spoofing my voice, you know what I mean? It's like, deepfake technology is super fucked up. Obviously, you do some insanely fucked up shit with it, but in the same way, it's like, when Photoshop was brand new, people were saying, this is going to destroy civilization. You're not going to be able to know what's real or not because you can make anything look real in Photoshop, but it's like, no.
Deepfakes are a little scarier, though. I'm gonna be honest. If there's not like any legality, I feel like there has to be some level.
That's fucked up. Okay, I completely agree that we need some laws in place for certain obvious things here, but the AI apocalypse is coming, and that's one of the things too, is they always have to think about and be aware of, is like, you can't put this genie back in the bottle. You can't just forget that you can make AI voices now, you know what I mean? Like, you could literally say horrible shit and then get caught and be like, nah, that was just an AI voice, you know what I mean?
If any leaked recordings ever come out about us, it was AI. Like, just throwing it out there, it was all AI, you know, would never say that. That's so horrible.
Look, one of these days, we're not going to warn you, we're not going to tell you. It could be NETLORE 34, it could be NETLORE 78. We're just going to fully script out and just have AI do the whole episode.
We'll plan this ahead. We'll slowly start talking more and more monotone and robotic until you can't tell.
Exactly. We're just going to start adding like a tinny compression in the background for no reason. The quality of the voices just keep getting worse and worse as the podcast goes on.
That's the story of the Pony Preservation Project and how My Little Pony brought forth the AI apocalypse. You know, what do you personally think happened to 15? And like, where do you think he came? Do you think he was a government plant?
The MIT ninjas got him. They threw him in a van. They said, "We own all your shit." Or maybe Terror Strong fucking killed him. I don't know. I don't know.
Poor guy, you know. I'd love to play Team Fortress 2 with him someday if you're still alive.
I would love to be admin abuse in his server and get banned for top fragging. I don't know. It's just crazy that, yeah, like he's just some guy. Apparently, people played TF2 with him. He could have interacted with this guy, and then he just poof, vanished. And I don't know if I'd say he's like one of the most influential people on the internet ever or anything, but like this is a pretty big deal. Like I said, it's become a whole thing. You know what I mean?
Right place at the right time, definitely. Like
he was the Mark Zuckerberg of AI voices. We need a David Fincher movie about the Pony Preservation Project. That would go so hard.
15. It's just called 15.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting, right? Like, there's a little air of mystery to it because the way he disappeared, and I don't know.
And you know, those models, those specific models, that specific code, it's still gone. I like that. Those were never released to the public. No one else has those.
I haven't fucked around with these sites in quite a while, so maybe I'm out of date with this knowledge. But I specifically remember, like, there were other sites like Vocals and UberDuck, but 15 was the best one by far. Like, it gave you the best robot voices. So it's like it was kind of interesting to be at the forefront of this emerging. I don't even know if niche is the right word, but just like, I don't know. What do you think, chat? What's your take on this?
Do you think 15 got kidnapped by the government and skinned alive?
And if so, is that a good thing or not?
Yeah, do you support him? Do you think he's a hypocrite for starting a Patreon?
Yeah, is this guy a villain? Do we hate this guy for having the audacity? Because like I said, it's easy with hindsight to be like, AI bad. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, at the time, people didn't feel so strongly about it. And it was like a pipe dream. They were like, maybe we can get these voices going. In our wildest dreams, they weren't expecting to get this level of results, you know what I mean? Again, it's just crazy that like you can be a guy like this and have this much of an impact on the internet, whether people know it or not, and then you can just vanish. You can just go away. We gotta bring him back. We gotta make him answer for his crimes, or at least give us some better Sonic voices so I can make my little Sonic fan fictions come to life.
Look, 15, we need you so we can have Sonic on the podcast, okay?
Yeah, the original plan for this episode was going to be me, Bernie, and our co-host Twilight Sparkle, but it was just too much work.
You know, we were planning to do it, but then we found out 15 AI was down and we had to completely change course.
I'm still waiting for it to go up. I'm checking every day. I'm waiting for it to go back up so I can make my ponies talk to me again.
So that's the end of the notes. I guess we can go into, we're bringing back the fan art section.
Let's go over a few pieces of fan art. I have these all saved under your Twitter handle. If you want to be credited as something other than your Twitter handle, please let me know. But this is by Scallybag01.
Oh man, this one's great.
I mean, there's so much good fan art. I felt bad. We would be getting fan art during the hiatus, and I was like, dude, we're assholes. We really should be doing the show.
This one really has a library feel to it. I don't know what it is, but
I love the lighting. It's great. I love anything that has like old CRT monitors and crap too. They capture the whole vibe of the NETLORE.
Oh, this one's
there's a great actual painting.
Are my Tails?
Yeah, you're Tails and I'm Sonic, of course.
I like my luscious lashes.
Yeah, you have a really funny expression on your face. I'm very much like just Sonic in this, but with like the little
peach fuzz.
Exactly. Oh, that one's by Grinder J. Thank you. This one's great. I love this one by Inky Was Taken.
Did I kill the Pepsi guy?
I need to get one of those shirts too that says I love Ponies. It's just where, and public people are like, what the fuck does that even mean? This one is by Jaden Wood PP, imagining us as those little squeaky toys. This will be the first official NETLORE merch. We might actually get some NETLORE merch going. Let us know if you want squeaky toys.
This is like if you want to torture us because we're not uploading.
Exactly, yes. Whenever we're not uploading an episode that week, you can be like, and torture us with the voodoo dolls. Here's one by Moisture Gurg.
Oh, that's cool.
Always love a good piece of perspective. And again, I like how many people have incorporated the fat Pepsi guy.
He's very, lovable, He's very huggable.
He's an iconic part of the NETLORE lore, the fat Pepsi guy. These are just some sketches by Moose Goosey, too.
Oh, these are nice. This looks like it was the person was documenting Pikmin in real life. Like they found a new species.
Oh, yeah. There were other things on the side, too. Yeah, it does look funny. I found these on an obscure planet. This is Olimar's notes. Here's one by TGD Bat. This is what it would look like if we had a show on Disney, I guess.
The NETLORE. Yeah, that's a good catchphrase. That's our new catchphrase.
It's a good gag. It's a good bit. The Real Your Dad posted another classic one of me as a horse.
Why do I have a shiny butt?
I have to admit, I already forgot the lore behind me even being a horse. It's been so long since we made an episode, I'm forgetting all our own inside jokes.
I think, was it because Kiwi drew it? Or
So some random shit, and then I just commented on it, and then people like, oh, he clearly liked that. So then we got like 10 million more pieces, and it just sort of became a thing.
But you're like skinned.
I'm a skinned horse.
It kind of looks like I ate you alive or something.
I love all the weird, creepy, implied stuff that's going on. Here's one by Zugza Dude. These are well rendered, yeah. This is from the NETLORE anime that will be coming out
Very soon.
sometime in the future. Look, if Rick and Morty can get a fucking anime, why can't NETLORE? Why can't we have an anime?
We deserve one more.
But yeah, here's a little Tyler Creative made us a little, it's like the Sonic and Knuckles type cover.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know why I get a kick out of these.
They kind of look like little like ice creams. You know, like the Sonic one?
Yeah, we need some NETLORE ice creams as well. I definitely missed some, but that was all the NETLORE fan art I grabbed from just doing a quick Twitter search for NETLORE. Guys, I'm sorry. If you sent some fan art that we missed, feel free to resend it.
Yes. Resend it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. It's quite nice. It's quite cool. But yeah, that's NETLORE 13 in the bag. Another one on the books. NETLORE Season 2 continues to go strong.
It continues.
And it will keep continuing.
NETLORE forever.
NETLORE forever, or at least until one of us dies. Should be hopefully not anytime soon. Wait! Before you go, I have a special cybershell addendum for you. So between recording this episode and it being released, I just happened to be playing some casual TF2 when who do I join a server with? A guy named 15 with a pony profile pic. Coincidence? Well, I checked his profile and it's private with the username 15AI, so I'm pretty sure it's actually him. I mean, seriously, what are the odds? Now, I wish I could say this is the part where I managed to snag an exclusive interview about where he's been and what happened to the site, but what actually happened was I tried talking to him a few times in chat, but I got no response. Either he didn't see my messages or he just didn't feel like replying. And honestly, I don't really blame him if he was ignoring me. He was just trying to game, not answer a bunch of questions from some random guy. So despite not getting a single word out of him, I guess I did still actually learn some valuable information about the guy. Number one, he may have taken his site down and stopped posting on social media, but he is alive, he's not in jail or anything crazy like that, and if he's playing TF2 under the name 15, then he's obviously not too concerned with hiding from the internet. And number two, he's a really good demo man, but not as good as me.
Kabam!